56 points. The average was 44. A very weird week, as we'll kind of go into, where a lot of the, I would say, most picked players didn't really do very much. And there were a couple of, I'd say, surprise results in there, which probably took people off guard. So, game week 4 now, and now I think everyone's starting to get a bit of a good idea about who's performing, what teams are doing well, etc., etc. So in goal we still had obviously David De Gea, got a clean sheet, first time this season. Usually he's very solid, but we know about Man United's problems. I'm sure we'll talk at length about that again. Alexander-Arnold and Van Dijk, I'm so angry at Liverpool and the goal they conceded, because that would have been a good few more points, but obviously they didn't get that 4th clean sheet. That would have been awesome, because they have done really well so far, but we'll talk about that. Trippier, surprise result I think for Spurs, without doubt. Mendy for City, got an assist. I've kind of cashed in maybe a bit late on him, I don't know, but I think he's still going to be good. But Man City kind of stumbled a lot in that game, so we'll kind of talk about that. Crystal Palace, oh god, I can't believe I have to talk about Crystal Palace. That's going to depress the hell out of me, but hey, we will have to do that. Hazard coming up trumps for Chelsea, so he got us a good nice 11 points there. Clean sheet and a goal scored for the midfielder. I think he's going to be good this season. I've really got a good feeling about Hazard this season. Lucas Moura, he got an assist. Again, he's in some good form, I think, Lucas Moura. So definitely going to keep him in. Mane, I mean, the guy's on fire, isn't he? 4 goals in 4 games. Yeah, very good. 3 clean sheets. Probably could have got another clean sheet, but Liverpool are flipping idiots. Jorginho, I should point out Wan-Bissaka came in because Zaha was injured before kickoff, which was very frustrating. I was very tempted to play my bench boost this week. I thought I'd save it for when we have one of those double weeks, if you know what I mean. But if I had, I would obviously have got another 13 points on there, because Maddison and Ings did okay. Maddison with the assist, Ings with a goal. Jorginho I played because I thought Chelsea would definitely get a clean sheet, which they did, and I was kind of hoping he might get an assist in there somewhere. I thought Chelsea would win comfortably. They kind of did, I guess, but you know. And then Aguero, who got the assist, but I really thought he was going to score. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I had Hazard as captain. And I was talking to him and I was like, you know what, you have to put Aguero as captain, don't you? They're playing Newcastle. If they get an early goal, it's going to be a whitewash. It's going to be a cricket score surely. Newcastle struggling a little bit. Wasn't to be, was it? In the end Man City won, but it wasn't really as a lot of people expected probably. I guess I can't complain with my 2 Man City players both getting assists. That's not the worst, is it? So a pretty average week, I feel. Puts me up to 7,000 in the Crystal Palace League, $500,000 in England, 1.6 million overall, which I'm actually really happy with. 1.6 at this stage is pretty good, considering there's usually about 5 million people playing, I think, although I know that sometimes with people they just kind of give up after a couple of weeks or something, or maybe have multiple different accounts which they set up, whichever one does well they kind of go with that. So I always feel like out of the 5 million, you could probably say that about 2.5 million are actually properly active, which is not that impressive when you go 1.6, is it? Anyway, maybe that's harsh, maybe there's like 3 million, so we're about average, I'd say. So let's talk about the games. We started off with Leicester v Liverpool, the 12:30 kickoff. I actually had a few days off. I've had from Thursday till today, when I'm recording this, which is Monday, off. A nice little break. I went to my girlfriend's for, 5 days, and watched and it meant you could go and play World of Warcraft. So hey, it works both ways, doesn't it? But Liverpool v Leicester was a cracking game. I thought Liverpool. I thought we're going to kind of whitewash Leicester a little bit, but they certainly were not playing at their best. You know, Mane's early goal, I thought once he got that early goal, which is a really nice little finish actually, I thought, wow, this could be really big now. You know, Liverpool could get, you know, 3 or 4 here. But fair play to Leicester, they really hung in there. Firmino's goal was really good as well. Not something you'd expect. Maddison, you know, people are kind of blaming for the corner, but I've kind of find it fascinating that they would have him marking Firmino, who admittedly is not the biggest guy to mark at a set piece, but he's a natural finisher. You know, he's a goal scorer, he's a striker. You know, to put a kind of creative midfielder marking him just seemed a bit wrong, but anyway, he got the header in from a corner. And then Liverpool kind of made it hard on themselves with Alisson, the goalkeeper, that is, what would be the word for it? Well, cock up would be the word I'd say. Now, a lot of people have had their say on it. They're like, well, just to explain what happened if you didn't see it, basically, it was a wayward back pass from Van Dijk, which Alisson was kind of in the centre of his goal, and it went off to kind of like where the 18-yard box kind of was. You know, it's kind of going off that way. So Alisson comes out. He's being chased down by, I think it was Maddison. Yeah, it was Maddison. And he attempts to do a Cruyff turn to take it away. Maddison's a bit too canny for this and steals the ball off him. Maddison then manages to kind of cross it in, and after a few tries, Ghezzal manages to get a goal on his first start for Leicester. A lot of people saying, you know, firstly, the Van Dijk back pass, yeah, it was very, very poor, and put Alisson in a very uncomfortable position. Van Dijk, I think, has been magnificent these first 4 games, and I think it was a bad back pass, but it was made way worse by Alisson. Now, this is where I probably differ on a few people. A lot of people are going to say, well, he should have just kicked out. He should have kicked out to touch when he conceded a goal. You're not wrong, but Liverpool didn't pay what was then, I think, a world record transfer fee for a goalkeeper to have him boot a ball out into touch. Okay, that's not what they brought him for. They brought him because he is good with his feet. They brought him to not concede possession in areas like that. They brought him so that he could, admittedly, maybe not do a Cruyff turn, but would be able to pass it out rather than booting it into touch, conceding possession and creating more pressure on them. And for the most part, he's been very good at that. This is, in some ways, I feel this harks back to people's kind of sort of arguments for John Stones back in the day, when they were like, oh, you know, John Stones just needs to learn how to, he's got to put his defending first, you know, not none of this fancy stuff. And it's nonsense, because, like, what sets John Stones apart from other central defenders is his ability on the ball. Yes, he might make a couple of mistakes, and as a defender, or even as a goalkeeper in Alisson's case, when you make a mistake, it can be catastrophic. You know, you can concede a goal. But we're not talking about Loris Karius mistakes here. We're talking about a mistake because of the way you play. And the thing is, Alisson could be, you know, responsible for several goals this season because of the work with his feet. You know, the build-up, where if he'd have just booted it into touch, they would never have even got anywhere near a goal. He could be responsible for, you know, it's so incredibly difficult to say what the right thing to do. You know, hindsight is obviously brilliant, but you know, every situation he's in where he attempts to pass it or take it around a player is, you know, why they brought him. Like, there's, you know, you can't, you know, turn around and say to the guy, you shouldn't be doing that, because that is exactly what they want him to do. They want him to have possession. Yes, maybe his decision making at that point was a little bit flawed. The Cruyff turn was not the best option on there, or maybe he just needs to get better at Cruyff turns. see with Man City. You know, with Liverpool and Arsenal are trying to play that way as well. You know, they've identified that goalkeepers, they concede a lot of possession, because if they boot it up pitch, that requires you to have, you know, be able to win aerial battles against centre backs, which usually doesn't happen. To be fair, they require you know, to be accurate with those long kicks. And there's not that many who are, you know, that accurate. And they can concede a lot of possession. That then puts pressure back on you as a side. You know, if you get a goal kick, it should be seen as your ability to kind of build an attack. You know, think about basketball. You know, well, I don't know the technical names, but obviously when you either, you know, concede a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer, whatever, you then build up your attack again. You know, push onwards. If in football you're constantly on the back foot, you're constantly, you know, just booting the ball up and it's coming straight back down to you, that's not going to work. And for these top teams who are about technical players, about passing, about possession, you know, having a goalkeeper who can only boot up the pitch is no good. So you have to have a goalkeeper who's got that ability to keep possession, to pass it out, and in difficult situations to keep calm and do that. And yeah, that's why they broke the bank with him. That's why Man City played so much for Edison. You know, we saw in the game the previous week his fantastic, you know, kick out. Like, he can kick it. You know, we see with, you know, people like Jordan Pickford, who is brilliant at, you know, building up the play, you know, with his accurate passing. You know, because there is a difference, believe it or not, to pumping a ball up and a long pass. There is a difference. And yeah, so while I am incredibly annoyed at the fact that I didn't get my clean sheet bonus when I thought I generally would have, I understand that those sort of things will happen. And I don't think Jurgen Klopp is going to be happy. I don't think Liverpool fans are going to be happy. But the point is, they won 2-1 and they didn't play that well. That is the sign of champions. Whether or not they will be champions is completely, you know, separate conversation. It's way too early to tell with anyone yet. But, you know, being able to win away to a team like Leicester, who, by the way, Leicester are a decent side. They really are a decent side. Where are they? 8th. You know, they had 2 wins and a loss going into this game, and the loss was against Man United, where they deserved something out of that game. Yeah, so they're good. In terms of Leicester, I thought Maddison is looking good. He still needs a bit of time, I think, to get going. Maguire, I think he just looks... I hate to say it if there's any Leicester fans out there, but he looks too good for Leicester, I think. His ability to come out with the ball just looks like he should be at Liverpool or Man City or a big European club, in my opinion. So yeah, but Leicester are going to be fine this season, I think. They're going to be fine. Liverpool could well be more than fine. Brighton 2, Fulham 2. So I believe, I didn't see this actually, but I believe Fulham were 2-0 up, but they conceded 2 goals to Brighton. Well, to Glenn Murray. That's not good. But Glenn Murray is good, and Brighton also missed a penalty. Or was it Brighton who were 2 up, and then Fulham came back? Either way, it's a 2-2 draw. You'll have to excuse me. As I said, I did manage to watch the live games, but I didn't manage to watch Match of the Day, so I am still a little bit, you know, out of the loop on there. But you know, to be honest with you, I definitely needed a bit of a holiday because the kids have been off, and yeah, it's just been a long summer, and it's been incredibly hot and long, and it was nice to take a break. But anyway, yeah, sorry. So it was Fulham who were 2 up, and then Brighton came back. Gross missed a penalty to begin with, I believe, but then Murray took a penalty and scored at the end. Schürrle and Mitrovic scored. Yeah, Mitrovic is looking good, isn't he? But, you know, I said about Fulham from day one, I like the look of their midfield and their attack. I don't like the look of their defence or their goalkeeper. I think they actually didn't play their normal goalkeeper. I wonder if he was injured or they just dropped him for form. But Bettinelli's not their normal goalkeeper, I don't think.
Well, Chris, on balance, what are your emotions? Because
I do apologise, my phone just literally played, despite me having it on silent. Jeez Louise, there we go. It's not what we want, is it? Might have to edit that out, but we'll see. I'll check it afterwards. So, yeah, Seri is looking very good, by the way. He's looking really, really good as a midfielder, playing very well. I think Fulham are going to be fine, but I'd be surprised if they finish top half this season, to be fair. I think that there are a lot of other teams who are more experienced than them and just better than them. I think Wolves, Leicester, Everton, maybe even Bournemouth, probably Watford. But I would imagine Fulham to finish around this area here. I don't think they'll be out of the relegation fight. I think the relegation fight will be, as it was last season, from about 8th downwards. But I think they should be okay. They look a good side. As I said, the worry for me is definitely that defence and the goalkeeper. And Brighton, I mean, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. They beat Man United, obviously great result, lost to Watford, lost to Liverpool. There seems to be no disgrace in either of those losses, and then drew with Fulham in a game which they probably would have wanted to win, to be fair. Southampton up next away, a South Coast derby, as it were. Again, a bit too early to say. I think with Brighton, I tip them to be fine. I don't think they're going to be relegated, but I don't think that they will necessarily pull up any trees this season. But I think they will be pretty happy to have a solid season and maybe be comfortably away from relegation at some point. Chelsea won 2-0 against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth have looked decent this season, but they came into this game unbeaten. I think Chelsea, there's something about them this season that just has this ability, I think, to surprise people. Everybody, and I'm including myself, thought that Chelsea would take a while to get going. New manager, they didn't quite manage to sign a lot of the players they wanted. They were kind of forced to spend a lot of money on a goalkeeper because Courtois wanted to go away. There was speculation with Hazard leaving on season, and they've only made a couple of signings. But it does seem like they're doing all right. I mean, let's face it, they were never a bad side. Chelsea, they won the league with virtually this side a couple of seasons ago. The one difference is probably that striker situation. Diego Costa, when they had him on his day, was unplayable. I don't feel like Giroud or Morata are anywhere near that level. But maybe with a bit more freedom for Hazard and Pedro and players like that, they can actually go some places this season. And we'll see. I think they've had a brilliant start, but I think some of their games has flattered to deceive. I think, everybody said the Huddersfield game at the beginning of the season, like Chelsea, that flattered them a little bit. I don't think it flattered them to win the game. Maybe 3-0 was a little bit flattering, but they deserve to win that, I think. Again, with the Chelsea-Arsenal, that could have gone either way. A draw probably would have been a fair result, but at the end of the day, they eked out that win. Again with Newcastle as well, they came close drawing, but they got a win. And I said about Liverpool, the makers of champions are winning games when perhaps you're not playing so well. And look at Chelsea, like they're obviously not in top gear right now, and they're winning games. Having Hazard back, I think, is going to be a big difference. The one question you have around them is if something does happen to Hazard, or even maybe Jorginho, because that guy is fundamental to the way they're playing. He's made more passes than any other player in Europe so far this season. That's big. He is their metronome. The guy keeps them ticking over. you know, and if things happen to like someone like him, who could come in and replace him, you know, who can come in and replace Hazard, who could come in and replace Alonso, you know, I'm not saying that those guys are irreplaceable, or that, you know, Chelsea don't have good players in other departments and elsewhere, but I still feel like they need to add to this squad, and they still need to get a lot of players. But if you win 4 out of 4, and apparently, you know, your squad's not good, you know, not that it's not good enough, it is good enough, but perhaps not, you know, set up in a strategic way which suits how the manager wants to play, and perhaps, you know, your striker, your main striker, is not really firing, and you still win 4 out of 4. You can't really complain too much, because that's got to be really positive and looking forward to the future there. Speaking about looking forward to the future, I'm not looking forward to the future of Crystal Palace. Oh my god. Listen, I tipped Southampton to go down this season. I don't think this result particularly changes my mind on there, although I do believe they played well. I think that they could be okay this season. I think Danny Ings was a big signing. I said this afterwards because I did my prediction before the transfer deadline shut, and I said that after that, actually, I think Danny Ings is a really good signing for them. I would have loved Palace to have signed him. As it is, we went into this game with, you know, Zaha pulling out, you know, early, well, not early, but close to kick-off with an injury, and everyone knows Crystal Palace don't win with that with Zaha. Benteke is, I don't know really what to say about him. I don't want to say I've never seen a player fall as much as him, because I don't necessarily believe it's all his fault. I think the way Palace are beginning to play now is not suiting him. I think when we had like Tony Pulis or Sam Allardyce playing, that did suit him, a more direct style like that, but I think Roy wants to play a little bit more along the ground. There is space for a striker like him, but he also needs to be a bit better on his feet, and that's not really his strength, is it? That, and, you know, not scoring is really denting his confidence, and football is such a confidence game that, you know, I think the time may have come on his career. We've got 3 players who can play in his position chomping away on the bench, and I think his games are numbered. I'd be surprised if he plays next week, personally. Take nothing away from Southampton, they 100% deserve this win. As I said, I still don't think it makes them, you know, I still think that they are going to be in for a relegation scrap this season. I've said before about Crystal Palace that I hope for them to get possibly even around 8th this season, because I thought we looked really solid. I take that back. You know, I thought we looked good. We had a good pre-season. We didn't lose that many players to the World Cup. You know, but we've lost some games we should not have lost. You know, and you could argue we were unlucky in the Liverpool and Watford game. We weren't unlucky in this one, and we were a little bit lucky in the Fulham one. So overall, I think we deserve to have only got 3 points out of 4 games. Yes, admittedly, it's better than where we were last season, but, you know, Roy's got some decisions to make, and we also need Zaha back, or we need something to be going on there, or we need to find a way to be able to win without him. I've said before as well, you know, surviving relegation just means you have to have 3 teams worse than you, and that could well happen this season. Everton won, Huddersfield won. I feel like this is the type of game that Everton should be winning here. No offence to Huddersfield, but like, Everton should be winning there. You can see here Pickford making 5 saves. You know, I think Everton will be really disappointed. 3 draws and a win, undefeated, absolutely. But they should have won all those games they drew. Honestly, they should have. The Wolves game, they should have Bournemouth game they probably should have, and Huddersfield game. But they didn't, did they? They got West Ham next. I don't think West Ham want to play Everton. Huddersfield, 2 draws, 2 losses. It's going to be tough for them to stay up. This is a big game, by the way, already. Huddersfield, Crystal Palace here. I expected Crystal Palace to beat Southampton comfortably, I've got to admit. And I've got egg on my face now, so I'm not going to make a prediction on that next game. That's a bad loss, and that's not a good draw for Everton. West Ham. Oh, West Ham. This one probably should have been a 0-0, to be fair. West Ham was so close to getting that first point. So close. I think they've scored 2 goals this season, and they've both been penalties, I want to say. I don't actually know. That one was a penalty. Oh god. No. I want to say this one was a penalty. No, it was just Marco Arnautovic. Okay. Fair play. I'm wrong on that. But still, to concede 10 goals and score 2. I mean, Huddersfield have done that, but they got smashed by Man City and Chelsea. They kept it a bit tight in their last 2 games. The thing about West Ham, and I've got to say firstly, before I go off on a tangent about West Ham, Wolves, good result. They got a decent side. I think if they finish where they are now, I think some people will be disappointed, but I think that's a really good achievement. If they can finish around here and not get sucked into, too badly into a relegation fight, that's a brilliant season for them, and they can build from there. Some people have been saying that they could challenge up here. I think that's a bit optimistic, but they clearly have some very good players in there. West Ham, there's no team in the Premier League, I think, who is defending as badly as West Ham, or playing as badly as West Ham right now. 0 points for 4 games. I said at the beginning of the season I thought they would do quite well, but that they had too many players who on their day, if they don't turn up, they are rubbish, and that is what is happening. They have players who are not turning up. There's a reason that Felipe Anderson went to West Ham and not a Man United or a Chelsea. It's because of inconsistency, and West Ham took a punt on him, because when you're a club like West Ham, you have to. Okay, you might be able to afford a player like that, but does a player like that want to come to a non-Champions League club or even a non-Europa League club? You have to kind of take a bit of a gamble, and it's going to take a while for him to bed in. I don't think Felipe Anderson's a bad signing. My point is, with like him and Arnautovic and a lot of the other players they have, if they turn up, West Ham could be brilliant, but they have not turned up. I was listening to a radio phone in actually tonight on my way back home, and people are slagging off Pellegrini and just saying like he's not the man for the job. Oh, he can't do this. Well, 4 games ago they weren't saying that. It's like a kind of, they're talking about getting rid of him already. I feel like it's a situation that Palace had last season where we went 7 games without winning a game or even getting a point, and we sat De Boer, and then we got in Roy Hodgson, safe pair of hands. We tried to change too much in too short a space of time, and a lot of people have been critical of the owners not spending money, but this season they spent over 100 million. Everything about West Ham on paper looks like they should be doing brilliantly. They've got this nice new stadium, they've spent a lot of money, they've got some big stars, they got the ex Premier League winning manager. Like when you put all this down, you're like, oh, this adds up to a great season, right? It isn't though. The stadium is. I don't know if the stadium's an issue or not. Okay, I hear West Ham fans complain about it. I've never been there. Well, I've been to the stadium, but I've never been there for a West Ham game. You know, they're saying it's not fit for purpose, not a football stadium. Blah blah blah. Okay, fine. That's not going well. The players they brought in are not doing the job for them. Ironically, the one player they could probably need, Koyute, they sold to Crystal Palace. And the manager is trying to play in a way which is not suiting the side. You know, that seems to be a common theme in the Premier League. So it just goes to show that the line between success and failure is so thin. It's easy with hindsight to turn around and go, they should never have got rid of David Moyes. He did a good job there. He was getting the best out of some of those players. If they'd have given him 100 million, he probably would have spent it a bit more wisely, and West Ham would be a more solid team. But I'll be honest with you, the West Ham fans, I think as a whole, didn't like David Moyes. He just wasn't. He didn't play the West Ham way, and he wasn't glamorous enough. And this thing about the West Ham way, I'm going to turn it down. I'm sorry if you're a West Ham fan. It's total garbage. West Ham, for about the last 10 seasons, have been a side who have been perennially either battling relegation or at their very best mid-table in the Premier League. They have very rarely in their history ever been this great footballing side. Maybe a couple of times, you know, there was a point where they had all these brilliant young players come through. That's the last time I remember them being good. And the thing is, they weren't even that good then. You know, they've been relegated several times, and this is in their old stadium. So I think they have fans who have this expectation of that West Ham should be challenging for the title, when realistically mid-table is a good result for them. You know, you've got to build it up little by little. You know, I feel like they've brought in too many players at once. They brought in a manager who has been in China for the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe is a little bit out of touch with what's going on in the Premier League. And you know, they were so quick to snap up the the stadium, the Olympic Stadium, that they never even turned around to think if it was good enough for them or good enough for football. And it's this kind of attitude, I think, this almost like level of expectation that fans have for West Ham, and I think most fans are probably a bit more grounded, to be fair. But this expectation that they should be challenging along with the Evertons and maybe the Leicesters, you know, for this kind of spot around here, when the reality is they're nowhere near that level, and that they should be spending big each season and this and that, and you know, they just got to worry about survival right now, rather than playing the West Ham way. Like, you have to be careful what you wish for in football. Sam Allardyce is not everyone's favourite manager, but I guarantee you won't get relegated with him. Tony Pulis, another example. David Moyes would not be bottom of the Premier League right now. I guarantee you. I'm not saying that in the long run Pellegrini is not going to turn this around and they might start playing good football. But I know David Moyes would not be bottom of the Premier League with 4 losses right now. And I know he probably wouldn't have brought a lot of those players who they brought in. Again, Felipe Anderson could turn out to be a brilliant signing for them. He has the potential and the ability. I just don't know if West Ham... There's sometimes a problem where brilliant players struggle because they don't play with other great players. And sometimes that like, it's just the way it goes, you know. I think Paul Merson, I always remember him telling the story of when he went to Walsall. If you don't know who Paul Merson was, he was a brilliant kind of like number 10 midfielder for Arsenal, had a lot of off-the-field problems, but he was a really talented footballer in his day. And he went to Warsaw in the lower league, and he was just like he just couldn't do it there because he was making passes that no one else was seeing, you know. And it would make him look so bad because he was passing and no one's there. But they were passes where, you know, when he was playing with like, you know, great Arsenal players like Ian Wright or someone like that, they would make those runs and he would know about it. And I feel sometimes like West Ham have some really good quality flair players and not a lot else to back it up. So I don't know. West Ham have got, by the way, Everton away, Chelsea at home, Man United at home, Brighton away, Spurs at home. I'm not being funny, but they could take Crystal Palace's record off them of most league defeats to start a season if they do not get their act right. They looked utterly shambolic against Liverpool in that first game of the season. They have looked a little bit better, but they're still terrible, okay? They're still really bad at the minute. And they'll get better, and, you know, we'll see better. But, you know, clearly, this is not how they wanted to start the season. Man City Newcastle, watched this game. As I kind of said before, this did not go the way I don't think Man City expected it, or the way I expected it, when Man City got a goal within 10 minutes. Sterling rifling it in. Really good goal. I thought, okay, boom, floodgates open. Didn't happen for whatever reason. They just... I mean, Dubravka made some good saves, I will say that much. Yedlin scored a really good goal. Fantastic counter-attack. You know, and really good work for Newcastle, and they battled and battled, and they gave Man City a game, okay? Yes, they were defensive, absolutely, of course they were, but like they were a threat, and Man City were not ticking over enough, you know. They still won. It was a brilliant goal from Walker, like a really good goal. Check that one out if you haven't seen it. But again, as I said before, if you want to be champions, you've got to win games when you're not playing so well. And I don't think Man City played brilliantly that one. The thing is, I don't think they'll play badly in that next game. You know, I don't see that happening. They've got Fulham next, so I don't think they'll be that bad. And they weren't bad. That's the thing about Man City. They weren't bad. They just weren't up to the normal level you expect. You know, they deserved to win the game, in my opinion. And Newcastle fought valiantly, but you know they were not up to their normal level. Newcastle struggling right now. They've had a rough start, haven't they? I know they've had Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City, and now Arsenal. That's not what you want. I know they had Cardiff in there where they ended up getting the draw, but that is a rough start. You know, it can only get better from there for them. And then we move on to Cardiff Arsenal. Watch this game. My. If you thought West Ham were bad at defending, have a look at Arsenal's defending. Jesus Christ. They are awful at defending. On the plus side, they have a really good attack. They remind me of like Kevin Keegan's Newcastle in a way, weirdly. So, Arsenal here. Lacazette and Aubameyang up front look brilliant. Xhaka is an absolute liability and shouldn't be playing in this team. Guendouzi, who came I think from like French second division football, is outplaying Xhaka every week, and Granit Xhaka he just shouldn't be in an Arsenal shirt in my opinion. I know there's some people probably like him, but I just don't think he's any good. Sorry, so Guendouzi came from Lorient, who are they second division? They are second division. They got relegated last season. No, they got relegated the season before. Yeah, they were relegated the season before. So he is a second division French player, and he's outplaying Xhaka. He is looking really good though, we'll say that much, but man oh man. Cardiff, I like the way they play. They work so hard. They really do. And if it wasn't for the brilliance, I think, of Lacazette, who had an outstanding finish with his goal, which when it was 2-2, Cardiff came back each time. It went 1-0 to Arsenal. Then, they pulled it back. Then it went, 2-1 to Arsenal. Then they pulled it back. Then Lacazette came in and scored. But Arsenal are awful at defending. Okay, they got to sort this out. You conceded 2 goals to Arsenal, Cardiff, a team who hadn't scored in their previous 3 games, by the way, and have really struggled for goals. And I know Cardiff work hard and do well, but they had a lot of chances that they missed in that game. And Arsenal, I don't think, deserved to win that game at all, and that's pretty bad for Arsenal. As is, they've won their last 2 games, even if maybe they didn't quite deserve it. They got Newcastle next. You would expect them to win that, but if they defend like that, I don't know. They're shocking. But as I said, attacking wise, they're brilliant. I thought Ozil had another bad game. He's not on it at the minute. I was thinking about this in the car on the way home today. Let's take, what if both managers switched teams? So what if Unai Emery was manager of Cardiff? What if Neil Warnock was manager of Arsenal? Who'd win that match, do you think? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Neil Warnock has a way of just getting the best out of his players. I think he has a way of playing which a lot of people might not think is the best looking or most attractive, but it's effective, it's direct, it's effective. And honestly, I quite enjoyed the way Cardiff played in that game. Unai Emery is trying to get players who are not suited to the way, what he wants to do, trying to get them to play that way. And you can see why managers like Unai Emery get a job at Arsenal. Immaculately presentated. You always see him in his suit, speaks very well, wants to play an attractive brand of football. And I'm not going to say that Unai Emery is not going to be a success at Arsenal. I think he will do better with this team. But I feel like if Neil Warnock was manager of Arsenal, Arsenal would be doing better than they are now. I know that might sound crazy, you might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Neil Warnock? But, yeah, I'm not going to say that in the long run Neil Warnock would do a better job than Unai Emery. I don't think that's true. I think he's got a philosophy. I just think that Warnock would be playing to Arsenal's strengths, and Unai Emery is not playing to their strengths. He's playing the way he wants to play, and that's fair to a certain extent. We saw Pep do that in his first season with City, and they didn't do that well, but it kind of got them ready for the season after. And maybe that's the plan of Emery's. Next season is when we're going to really go for it, bring in a few more players, get everybody in the mindset this season. There's no World Cup to kind of disrupt stuff. You can actually work with the full squad and get going from there. Now, admittedly, not that many Arsenal players went to the World Cup, to be fair, but you get my point. A player like Ozil should do well in an Unai Emery team, but he hasn't been doing well. Is that because he didn't have enough training time with the squad because of his World Cup duties? Is it the off-the-field stuff with the Germany, retiring from the Germany squad? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But an entertaining game. Gutted for Cardiff. I think they really deserved to get something out there. I wanted to get something out of it. Routine win for Man United. I did chuckle as a friend of mine had Pogba in his team. He missed that penalty. Lukaku getting a couple of goals. Burnley again. What can you say about Burnley? 1 point, which was against Southampton. Otherwise, played badly and conceded a lot of goals, which is very un-Burnley-like. 9 goals they conceded in 4 games. Without doubt, the Europa League has taken its toll on them. I mean, you can't deny that. But I am surprised at how poorly they have defended. I think it's most likely to do with the amount of preparation time they have between games, but we'll see. You know, this is the Premier League. This is the big time, and like they're doing badly. They've got Wolves next away, and that's a big game for them. A big game. They gotta get 3 points on the board soon, or else, you know, confidence will be lacking. And then Watford. What can you say about Watford? You know, these guys are just on fire. 4 wins out of 4, third in the league. 9 goals in 4 games. That's as good as Liverpool have scored. You know, they've beaten Brighton, Burnley, Crystal Palace, and our Spurs. To be fair, up to there you would go, well, you might fancy Watford to win those games, but there you probably wouldn't have fancied them to win that game, and they did. Man United next, and you know, Man United won that game like a hole in the head, don't they? Yeah, so Spurs not quite with it. I don't think Spurs are doing badly. They've had 3 wins, but probably this was not one of the games they expected to lose, I would imagine. They've got Liverpool next. That's a bit of a humdinger, and this will show whether or not either side have got real like ability to you know, go on and take the league on. So we'll see. You know, I wonder how Spurs squad's going to do in the Champions League. I'll talk about the group stage just at the end, but I wonder how they're going to cope, because their squad is not the largest, and Harry Kane is not looking himself recently. He looks like he needs a break, you know, or something. I don't know what. He just, since the World Cup, and even at the World Cup, he looked exhausted after the Colombia game. And yeah, he has got, you know, what, 1 or 2 goals. I can't remember, but he has got goals. But he just doesn't look like himself. He's not playing the way I think Spurs probably want him to. And they did miss Son, and great news, I guess,